What's up, Scout? Scout's keeping the shop clear of mice, earning his wages. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to T's Good Times Garage. I am T, I am your host. We're back out in the garage. We're hanging out with Scout, one of the shop cats. You might think you're seeing double right now. 2 engine stands. That's right, I have 2 new to me engine stands. They're the 1,000-pounders or half-ton Harbor Freight Specials. I was in the market for an engine stand. I've been looking for a few weeks to be able to get this pile up on a stand. And I can say that Facebook Marketplace doesn't always suck. I scored both of these for 50 bucks. That's right, both. I had to put some miscellaneous fasteners on in a couple of places. No big deal. Got that sorted out. These are ready to solve charger problems. First, I need to get this Moho motivator up on a stand. And then I'll need to get this out of the car and up on a stand. I'll tear this down eventually, but it can store on a stand for a minute. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get this one ready, clear a few things off the front to take some weight off of it. So we'll start with this monster AC compressor. Several miscellaneous fasteners holding that to the block, which we'll have to find. But we'll get it. Of course, the power steering pump can come off as well. Mostly worried about getting the front end accessories off. On the water pump housing, if you have a neck for the hose, for the heater hoses, save this guy for last. You will not get that out with that barb in the way. AC compressor, water pump housing, and a power steering pump all removed. I'm going to go around to the back. I'm going to pull the flex plate off, see what I can do to clean this area up, then we'll get it on the engine stand. Got the plate on for the engine stand. Now time to get it hoisted up and into place. The 440 is now on the stand, and the stand's taking it pretty well. It should. It's a 1,000-pounder, but we're gonna get it cleaned up and get it to a point where I feel good about trying to start it, and then it'll trade places. So this is happening. This is gonna end up in there as long as I can get this to run. But you may have noticed something covered here next to the charger, next to this Moho motivator 440. All right, let's check it out. Oh, hooray, T, a short block. That's cool. Fantastic. But it is orange. What do you think? Well, I've had this engine in my possession probably going on 8 to 10 years. A buddy of mine pulled it out of a 1969 Dodge Coronet. He pulled this out in favor of a 440. I built the 440. So at the end of all that, he decided to give me this engine. I think I got the intake off it as well because he couldn't use it. But he used the cylinder heads on his engine. So this is a 383, and you see this one has a lot of color on it, unlike the Moho 440. The Moho 440s get beat up pretty good. This engine, I do believe, only had 61,000 miles on it. And I believe that because I have the odometer. It's broken, it's garbage. It's a wall hanger. So I think this engine had been rebuilt at some point. We're gonna have to dig deeper to try and solve that mystery. There's a little bit of carbon buildup on that, but I can't feel a ridge. And you can ever so slightly make out some cross hatching in there, but it does need to be cleaned up. Here's the casting number if you're curious. Has a build date of September 10th, 1968. Likely went into a 69 model automobile. There is a camshaft still in it. Oil pump as well. Looking down in there, I'm kind of thinking those pistons might be aftermarket. So it is a good chance that this thing was rebuilt at some point. You can see some grind marks on the rod caps. So this assembly has likely been balanced. So I don't totally know what I have, except to say that I know it did run in my buddy's Coronet. Here's the casting number again. Trying to look at the clock here. Arrow pointing to D for day shift. This is the interesting part though. This would be the VIN stamped into the engine block from the car that it came out of. So right away I know this was not original to the Coronet it came out of. XP basically, Charger. 29, the two-door sports hardtop. H is the engine code. Indicates 383 high performance. This, I do believe, should have been a 330 horse version of the 383. 9, the model year, 69. So this would have come out of a 1969 Dodge Charger. The confusing part, though, to me, we've seen from a VIN stamping that this was a high-performance 383. But nowhere on here do we see HP. I assume that's a possibility that that stamping got missed. Do we assume that the VIN's accurate? If so, this is basically the 69 version of this car. This is also an H-code 383 4-barrel car. Speaking of that, that is on the project list too. That one's hanging out right there. We'll get to that one though. That one's important. So HP, not an HP. It's been a minute since this engine's been rotated over. And yeah, I could probably clean it out a little bit better. Look at how close to the top of the deck that piston is. I would imagine that this block has been decked a little bit, or the pistons have been addressed to compensate for that. So if that's your VIN, you might want to reach out to me before I do something with this engine. Which leads me, ladies and gentlemen, into the reason I have both of these engines standing here in front of me. In my last video, we mentioned a collaboration. And this collaboration at this point involves, I want to say there's 8 or so of us channels involved in it already. Probably will grow. I'll tell you who those guys are here in a second. So let's talk about this collaboration. It is actually more of a competition, and I'm in need of making a decision. So we're taking junkyard pieces, or engines resembling junkyard pieces, and we're going to build these bad boys. We're going to make these run and make power, hopefully a lot, but we're doing it on a budget. So we're throwing out some competition names. We haven't totally settled on that yet, but we're looking at junkyardtightwads, junkyardbrawlers, and piggybankhorsepower. Which one of those is the coolest name for you? Let me know in the comments. So if that doesn't kind of give you a clue as to what's going on, we are building budget engines, trying to make the most power. Phase 1, the short block. Let me lay out the rules for you. The initial short block purchase and factory stock components not being factored into the cost. If you're like me, you've got a couple of these laying around. And I do. Here we are. What we're trying to do is finally accomplish something with these engines that are just taking up space in our garage. No displacement restrictions. If I want to build a stroker, I can do that. It's going to factor into the cost, because obviously we know what the factory stroke and bore of these engines happens to be. If we increase that, we're likely doing some trick machining or buying aftermarket parts. That definitely gets factored into the cost. Also, no engine family restrictions. Small block, big block, Gen 3, slant 6, pick your poison, all good. Machine work, no restrictions. All expenses must be tracked. Gaskets, machine work, labor, aftermarket parts, and the total cost to be disclosed at the end of the short block build to my audience. We'll all disclose that to our own audiences. Aftermarket performance parts already in possession or specialized labor added to the build. If you've got a crazy cool intake manifold, you've got some aftermarket cylinder heads, okay, good on ya. Lucky you. But we're going to be putting that out to you. We're presenting that to you to determine a value. I'll probably have a couple of things to present, so we'll definitely be discussing those things. Obviously, if you're buying brand new aftermarket, that's your cost. That's added to your list. No promotions restriction. Basically, I'm going to be making my case for why my engine is the best for whatever I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to make the best bang for your buck on horsepower, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why this is the best way to do it, in my opinion. At the end of phase 1, all participants' builds will be presented on all channels for an audience vote. So you'll vote on my channel, and you can go to the other channels. You can vote there. Hopefully you'll go to those channels and vote for me. But you've got to vote your conscience. You've got to decide which of the builds is the best in your opinion. The results at that point will be compiled to determine the phase 1 winner. Once again, phase 1 is the short block, after which we'll proceed to the next phase. But this is going to be a few months down the road likely. We're thinking about possibly duct tape drags 2024 to have these in a project. That's still up in the air though. Obviously, we're building engines here. Do we have to build a car too? It could be that. So I have a decision to make, and I think that's part of the point of what I'm talking about right now. I have a 440. This 440 will likely run with a carburetor, a tune-up, and put some gas to it. But this is a low compression, late 70s job. How much horsepower did a motorhome 440 make? We have a 383 cast in 1968 for a 69 model Charger. According to the VIN, this is an HP engine, a high performance. Would have been a 330 horse from the factory. This one looks like it has potentially been rebuilt in the past. We'll have to get it apart and cleaned up and check. But I'm already a leg up in the compression department with the 383. What's this one? 7.5 to 1? This 383 was advertised at 10 to 1. That's a big deal. There's a lot of torque in this thing. After all, I had to move a big motorhome around. Maybe this engine as a baseline made more horsepower and torque than this, as far as what was advertised. I don't have cylinder heads right now. Well, I probably do. I'll take that back. I have some cast iron factory jobs floating around somewhere. But that's down the road, right? That's not part of this phase 1. We can think about that later. But I should think about it now because I already have a complete engine. Man, I'm having a tough time with this decision. So I'm going to ask you for a little help. Which engine should I build for this competition? Which engine's going to benefit me better as a baseline for the short block build for the junkyardtightwads or junkyardbrawlers or piggybankhorsepower? Like I said, we haven't decided which name to go with yet. We're going to ask for your help on that too. I would say I have options on this one as well. I have accessible everything on that 440 that's in the Charger right now. I can use on this. There's a lot of aftermarket on that we'll have to present to you for an approximation of value, being used parts. That's a possibility. But this swap is happening. Clean this one up, get a carburetor, swap the ignition system from this engine, the water pump, housing, alternate, all that stuff. and just run this one as it is. And it'll probably be fun to drive in this car, but will it win the horsepower per dollar challenge? The thing that excites me about this, obviously the better baseline from a performance standpoint, but I was talking to my kid Riley, if we opt to do this, we're gonna put it in his car. I can still do this and drive my car all the time. It'd be fun. But if we can do this and make Daryl the Duster run and run hard, and Riley gets a cool car out of the deal, I am so happy to do this. That's factoring into my decision. I can tell you it does make me lean towards the 383. As far as the timeline goes, I need more time to do the 383. And that could be fun. But we spouted off long enough. Well, let me know what your thoughts are. The collaboration is underway. We are building junkyard beasts. Help us out on that hashtag, guys. What's the name? Is this a junkyard tightwad battle? Is this a junkyard brawlers battle? Or is this a piggy bank horsepower battle? Also wanted to let you know some of the channels you can check out to see who's involved so far. And in no particular order, actually alphabetically, because that seems to be the only fair way to go. Dutch Guy's Garage, Johnny Mopar, Just Mopar Joe, Muscle City Madness, Tall John's Fun Shop, Talking Mopars, Sorta Stock Mopars, and T's Good Times Garage. If I've forgotten anybody on that list, next time you see me, slap me in the face. I deserve it. Go check out their channels. See what they've got going on. Down the road, we will be asking everybody to vote and tell us whose engine they like best. We need names for these too. I'll work on that. The 383 or the Moho Motivator. I like that one. I think that's going to stick. We'll get you a name, buddy. I promise we will. Is the complete engine, the complete 440 low compression motorhome piece the way to go? Or is the Performance 383 out of a 69 Charger the way to go? If we build this, it's going in here, my 68 Charger. If we build this, it's going in my kid's Duster, Daryl, the Rod Knock Slant 6 Duster. Let me know what you think, guys. Leave that in the comments. Tell me what you think would be the best way to go and why. And we'll make that decision here pretty quick. We need to know what budget beater is going to be put together for phase 1 of the competition. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Check out everybody's channel. Go subscribe. Go like their videos. See what they're putting together. Don't forget to like this one. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it very much. Please and thank you. And we'll get on these. Well, we're going to do them both anyway. Which one becomes the contest entry is the question. Take it easy, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.